Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about some new FDA guidances that'll make it easier to approve CBD-based medicines. Now, the medicine that they're talking about in particular is EPIDIOLEX. It is specifically meant to treat some forms of epilepsy, specifically in small children. But this is definitely a huge leap when it comes to CBD-based medicines. Because now companies will be able to make generic forms of those medicines, drive more competition, lower prices, and then that means cheaper CBD for everybody, which is awesome. So we're going to go over this article really quick and kind of talk about all of the new FDA guidelines. Now, the FDA is releasing new draft guidelines that are meant to streamline approvals for generic oral CBD medications. In a notice published in Federal Registrar on Wednesday, the agency said it's soliciting public feedback on its guidance to researchers who are interested in submitting abbreviated new drug applications for CBD solutions. To expedite the approval process, FDA said applicants can review a waiver of an in vivo bioequivalence study if they meet certain requirements. This guideline comes 2 years after the agency approved the brand name CBD-based epilepsy medication EPIDIOLEX from GW Pharmaceuticals. Going forward, if a drug company wants to produce generic versions of that 100 milligram cannabidiol solution, they could follow specific rules to skip the in vivo bioequivalence study step if the draft guidance is finalized. The drug would have to be derived from cannabis sativa L, contain no more than 0.1% THC, and have, quote, no inactive ingredient or other change in formulation from the reference listed drug that may significantly affect systemic availability. Yeah, so basically, as long as the drug is pretty much 1-to-1, you'll have an easy time getting approved, according to this article, of course. The FDA, on the other hand, it takes a while for things to get approved, so we'll see how it plays out in real life. Researchers must use appropriate analytical methods such as macroscopic or microscopic analysis, or DNA barcoding methods to determine that the solution is being made from cannabis sativa. Quote, due to the many cultivars within this species, identification and authentication of plant species should be conducted at the cultivar's level if the potential cultivar will be used as the natural source of the botanical raw material, FDA said. Yeah, so it looks like they're cracking down hard on whoever is being approved for this. They need to be they basically need to have the right on point. They need to have less than 0.1% THC, needs to be derived from cannabis sativa L, no other additives or changing ingredients. So if you want to get through this process, you're going to have to basically make a 1-to-1 copy. I'm not sure how we would differentiate through the different companies and whatnot, because I know some generic medications may have small changes in ingredients, but we'll see. But for now, it looks like you're gonna have to have a 1-to-1 in order to compete with this with EPIDIOLEX as a generic medication. So further, when collecting that raw cannabis, the agency said applicants must follow, quote, established good agricultural and collection practices, procedures to minimize variations in BRM, and eventually ensure the batch-to-batch consistency of the drug substance. Yeah, so they basically want to make sure that the growers are doing the right thing, the companies making and manufacturing are doing the right thing, which is great because there's a lot of bad stuff that's coming out, that has come out of the CBD or cannabis space just because of the lack of regulation. Companies are able to pretty much get away with selling garbage, and you can't really I mean, only until the last year or two has the FDA been able to crack down on these CBD or cannabis companies that are basically producing bad products. So this is really good. This will definitely set the stage for later on when more and more strains of cannabis are being approved for like pain management and certain things like that, and that are actually FDA approved. And once CBD for certain, or once CBD becomes FDA approved for, say, for instance, pain management or arthritis or anxiety, it'll be huge for the market because it'll change the verbiage. Will be CBD companies will be able to claim certain things. So really, this is just a stepping stone to the next level, which is getting CBD into the mainstream. Now, a public comment period on FDA's draft guidance will last until November 23rd. FDA also recently closed a comment period on separate draft guidance on developing cannabis-derived medications. However, 3 other federal agencies are currently accepting input on a variety of other proposed cannabis and drug-related regulations. While this latest document isn't the separate comprehensive CBD guidance that advocates and industry stakeholders have been waiting for, it's another example of how scientific landscape around cannabis is changing, with the federal agency helping to facilitate the production of cannabidiol-based drugs. Yeah, exactly. So it's not, the stock markets aren't going to go crazy and everyone's not going to be like, oh my God, better buy all of the cannabis stock right now. But it's definitely a stepping stone into the right direction of where I think CBD and cannabis should be going. Let's see. Separately, While the latest, separately, FDA announced on Tuesday that it will be hosting a public meeting in November to discuss gender and sex differences in the effects of CBD and other cannabinoids. The agency also recently held a meeting to help inform cannabis researchers and cultivators about opportunities to protect their proprietary information and promote studies into the plant. It also recently submitted draft guidance on CBD enforcement to the White House of Management and Budget, a long anticipated move that comes after hemp legalization. The agency was mandated under appropriations legislation enacted last year to provide an update on its regulatory approach to CBD, and it did so in March. The update stated that FDA is currently evaluating issuance of risk-based enforcement policy that would provide greater transparency and clarity regarding factors FDA intends to take into account in prioritizing enforcement decisions. Just legalize it all across the board, honestly. This makes no sense. The FDA has been using enforcement discretion for CBD in the years since hemp became legal. The agency has continued to issue warnings to cannabis businesses in certain cases, such as instances in which companies claimed could treat or cure coronavirus and provide public notice about recalls. And yeah, so that's why it's so important for CBD and cannabis in general to get FDA approval in certain aspects, because then we could say things like it could treat or cure. Well, it's never going to cure, but it could treat symptoms of blank, rather than kind of what CBD companies do now, where they kind of dance around the claims, where they say it could promote healthy lifestyle, things like that. So, we have anecdotal evidence that suggests that CBD can help in many ways, but because of how the regulation is, we cannot specifically say that it treats certain things. So once things like the FDA approval of EPIDIOLEX, they were able to say, treats certain types of epilepsy in children. Until then, we have to basically dance around the claims pretty much. Now, to cure coronavirus, that's obviously absurd. Now there have been studies in preliminary studies that show the reduction in lung inflammation with coronavirus and other things like that. But basically there have been studies done to whereas you can kind of say that it does help with coronavirus, but you can't say that because you can't claim that as a selling point, or you can't say that our CBD helps with coronavirus. That just isn't. You'll get shut down. FDA will come after you. That's just how it is right now. But until then, until we can get it FDA approved for certain things, we just have to basically say that CBD is what it is, and you can try it, and if it works for you, it works for you. So, moving on. The agency. Yeah, so in July, FDA also submitted a report to Congress on the state of the CBD marketplace. And the document outlines studies the agency has performed on the contents and quality of cannabis-derived products and it's been tested over the past 6 years. And so that study, they found that over 60% of the products that they tested were mislabeled in some form or fashion, which is pretty insane. Also that month, a congressional spending bill for FDA was released that includes provisions providing funding to develop a framework for regulating CBD products. The agency is also actively looking to award a contract to help study CBD as the agency develops regulations for products containing the non-intoxicating cannabinoid. Interesting. So this is, like I said, this is just one step forward in the CBD market. It's not going to be a game changer, but it's definitely going to be a stepping stone to get CBD, more official. And by official, I mean FDA approved, because you're not official unless you're FDA approved. It could work, a million times and not work once, but if it's not FDA approved, it seems like society doesn't take it as a serious thing. So hopefully they're going to be like they allocated funding for CBD studies and cannabis studies. They've been moving in the right direction when it comes to regulating CBD, because it definitely needs to be a regulated market, because like I said earlier, companies can basically sell whatever they want and get away with it, and it hurts the good CBD companies and it hurts the bad CBD companies just as much, because if someone uses that bad product and they get hurt by it, now they think that CBD in general is bad for you. And cannabis already has a bad connotation because it's marijuana and all this stuff. So it's definitely moving in the positive direction with all of these regulations. But that's all I have for today. If you have any questions or have any topics that you'd like me to cover, feel free to comment in the comment section. Like the video if you like what I'm saying. If you don't, dislike the video. And if you haven't tried or have tried CBD before and you're looking for some more education, we have a quiz in the description. Basically, it'll ask you a few questions and you'll have access to our 30-day CBD challenge. And basically what that is 30 days of really quick, easy to digest content. And basically after the 30 days, you'll be a CBD expert just like me. And you'll be able to tell all your friends about how much, it helps with our bodies and how it can help. Because I think CBD can help everybody, whether it be, anxiety, pain, what have you. Just wanting to have a natural supplement to calm yourself down is essential in my opinion, especially in these times. Everyone seems to be super stressed or super hurt all the time, and we have a supplement that will be able to help you out. So you guys have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening, and bye now.